and ever wonder what truly makes a horror film stick with you long after the credits roll? Um, is it jump scares, gore, something far more unsettling? The original Event Horizon didn't rely on cheap thrills. It tapped into a primal fear of the unknown, a dread that lingered in the shadows. But a recent prequel comic has strayed from that core principle. Dobby, like, Poe and Tree, very small. Uh, the 1997 film, while initially a box office disappointment, gained a devoted cult following in its atmosphere of creeping dread, coupled with a stellar cast, set it apart. And now, 28 years later, Event Horizon Dark Descent aims to reveal the fate of the ship's original crew. However, it's taken a detour into territory the original wisely avoided. Uh, the comic's first few issues introduced the crew and the terrifying dimension the ship stumbled into. But it also introduced Paimon, a demonic entity, and then a monster, a slimy, cancerous creature began chasing the crew, absorbing them into its mass. It's a visual straight out of a different kind of horror film, and it the genius of the original Event Horizon was its psychological horror. Uh, the ship wasn't haunted by a creature; it was the monster. It preyed on the crew's minds, forcing them to confront their deepest traumas. Uh, Inspired by classics like The Haunting and The Shining, it focused on inner demons, not external ones. This new monster feels unnecessary. While well rendered, it cheapens the eerie vibe of Event Horizon. It's a creature, plain and simple, and doesn't fit the film's Lovecraftian horror of the unknown. The original script even considered aliens, uh, but the director wisely chose to leave the horror ambiguous. The comic needed to establish a threat quickly, and a monster is a convenient shortcut. Um, but it's like adding a monster to The Shining. It just doesn't. It doesn't mesh with the tone. The focus should be on the ship itself, the insidious force driving the crew to madness, not a creature lurking in the shadows. Uh, Dark Descent is a good read, and it's doing a solid job of expanding the Event Horizon universe. And a sequel, Inferno, is on the way. Um, but the introduction of this monster feels like a misstep, undermining the psychological terror that made the original so effective. It's like the comic is saying, um, just in case the existential dread wasn't enough, here's something to really scream at. Um, Speaking of things that scream, did you hear about the ship's onboard computer? Um, um, it had a terrible sense of humor. Um, it kept giving everyone error messages, but with that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, and well, do that.